What's up, people? Today I'll be getting into 2000's X-Men film in 4K, Ultra HD, and I got that coming up for you next. So I finally get to talk about X-Men. Unfortunately, I don't have time to separate the movie review from the 4K Blu-ray, but I could talk about this movie for a long time, and all of the X-Men films for a long time, to be quite honest with you. So getting into this X-Men film that came out in 2000, this movie was not really the heavy hitter that it would become for Fox. This was actually a gamble for them, and they only did it because Blade was marginally successful in the late 80s. I believe it was 98 when that movie came out. So you definitely see the budget of this X-Men film just tempered down, and you don't go all out with these characters like you would really want from a first outing. But what Bryan Singer has done with this film is wisely focus on the characters and not the action here. And so what we're left with is a movie that really leaves you thinking about itself and not just an action fest like you might expect. And that's not bad, though. I really do appreciate the character dynamics in this film for the most part. I will say that Anna Paquin does a good acting job here, but she just wasn't directed to be the rogue that you all know from the comic books and what you know from that X-Men series in the 90s. This is a unsecure rogue that really doesn't, she doesn't really feel confident in herself. And that is not the rogue that we all knew back in the day, let me tell you. And Halle Berry as Storm is just bad. We'll leave it at that. But with that being said, everybody else here is spot on. Hugh Jackman, excellent Wolverine, and not really one that I would necessarily initially go with, just because, hey, he's a really freaking tall guy, and Wolverine is supposed to be short, but he pulls it off because he has a lot of charisma. Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen here are amazing, and Mystique here, just the characterization of Mystique is excellent as well. I really get into this movie's politics with Senator Kelly, and man, all of the character stuff in this film just zings. Unfortunately, when it comes to the action, you just want a more confident film, and it's not that. It will be at one point, but it's just not that here. Not yet. And for that, I am going to give X-Men 2000 a 8 out of 10. It's still a great movie in my mind. It's just hampered by its budgetary restraints. And getting into the video quality of X-Men in 4K, detail work here is extraordinary, and it was pretty good on the Blu-ray. I actually really do like that Blu-ray, but here it is just amped up in the especially Hugh Jackman's face, in Wolverine's face, whenever he is like healing himself, you can actually see the CGI healing him a lot cleaner and crisper. And the matter of fact, all of the CGI here is largely improved, even with that scene where Cyclops blasts the roof off of the train station. His optic blast is really cleaned up, and it doesn't like take over or protrude the rest of the picture like on the Blu-ray. But where this truly shines, people, is with the HDR. Now, facial tones on that Blu-ray ran pretty hot, and that is just the one gripe that I really do have with that Blu-ray. It is largely fixed here, and to great effect. Another thing that is largely fixed here is just the overpowering of the CGI effects that I just talked about with Cyclops' optic blast. You also, throughout the film, just have better looking and better shading of the CGI just with the HDR, and it just fits better with this film. And for that, I do have to give this a 8 out of 10. This isn't the greatest looking film in this box set, but I will say that it is the biggest step up. And that is just a really high praise for a film that wasn't made for a whole lot of money, like I've been saying. And getting into the audio quality here, I would kill for a Dolby Atmos mix, but they don't give it to me. I feel like I've just been stabbed through the heart with an adamantium claw because I get the same DTS HD 5.1 mix that was on that Blu-ray, and look, it's an awesome, awesome mix. It is a great mix. It's just not Atmos. And you know what? Fox does good Dolby Atmos mixes, and they could do good here, but they just don't want to. Bass response hits powerful with this film, especially with the X-Jet and all of that, Cyclops' optic blast as well. And then you go into the surrounds, which are just extraordinarily excellent for the time that this film came out. Look, I really do love this audio track. I would give it a 10 out of 10, but unfortunately, I have to knock it down to a 9 out of 10 just because I wanted an Atmos track on this disc. And getting into the digital copy here, this is a Fox digital copy that only lets you download the standard high definition version of the film and not the 4K version. And as far as special features here, only the Bryan Singer audio commentary has been ported over to the 4K disc. All of the rest are still on the original Blu-ray release, but there is a hefty amount. There is about a half an hour of a featurette that goes into just the mutant threat and all of the threats that the X-Men have went up against in the comic books and how they wanted to translate that to the screen. And I feel like it is just a really interesting watch that I have always particularly liked watching. And then there is the X Factor, where it goes into all the design for all of the characters in the film. They actually go into a lot of detail here, and that is also another half an hour. There are a whole lot of special features here. Unfortunately, only the audio commentary is on the 4K disc, and for that, I do have to give this an 8 out of 10. I would give it even more, because I like the special features here so much, but they just don't have it on the 4K disc. And getting into my last looks at X-Men in 4K Ultra HD. Look, I truly do enjoy watching this movie. The character drama here is excellent and spot on. The casting of this film is just something that I really feel like in time people will appreciate even more, just because there are just some classic performances in comic book films here with Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, and Hugh Jackman. The three of them are just excellent here. But the villain's plot here and the action are just a little lacking, and you can see the confidence just isn't there with this particular film. And when you add up all my scores for this 4K disc, that comes out to a 33 out of 40. That is pretty high for this, and that is because of the fact that the film is good and the video transfer is actually really good for what this is. So I do have to get into X2, the second X-Men film. I'm going to have that coming up to you guys real damn soon. I can't wait to talk to you about that one. So subscribe so you know when those videos come out. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. You're awesome, and you know it, and I will see all of you next time.